Absolute certainty, I believe, is the most important tonality in business. For some, it is also really hard to do. That's why we're spending a little bit more time on this. You gotta get this one right. If you skip through the tonality section, but you do this one, you're still quite well equipped, all right? Now, there's different ways to do it, and I'm gonna give you different examples. But one great example is the way I speak. I master this tonality of absolute certainty. So you already know how it sounds, right? The pronunciation of the P's and the T's, and it's really you pronounce all the vocals properly. You have this certainty. You stretch it out. The way I speak most of the time in these courses, the way I speak right now, that is absolute certainty. It doesn't, however, have to sound the way I speak. You might have your slightly different way of doing it. Everybody has it, right? Before you can develop your own style of this tonality, it's important that you hear a few different versions of it. But you will see it all has similarities. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples here. They all have similarities, and they all come down to what? To pronouncing everything very properly. Every P, every T, every vocal, right? It's there. It's like somebody who knows. He's certain, she's certain about what they are saying. And that is crucial. Why? Let me ask you, why is it so important in persuasion, in sales, in pitching deals? Because at the core, sales and persuasion is the transference of an emotion. And guess what? It is this emotion, certainty about the solution you have to offer, right? And so this is the core of sales and persuasion. I give you a moment now to practice your version of the absolute certainty tonality. If you don't know how it goes, still not, listen the way I speak to you right now. This is absolute certainty. Mostly, I flip it around or every now and then. But in general, the P's, the T's, this is absolute certainty. All right? Got a few seconds here. How does it go for you? Look, this one needs to be mastered. Maybe you say, okay, yeah, cool, it's easy. I get you, but it needs to be mastered. And that's why we're going into a couple of different examples now. One is a friend from the Charisma Matrix who speaks with a very low, very strong voice, super powerful. And he's very good at using certainty. Have a watch.
I've got something for you that's going to make you more attractive to women. It's going to make you sell more if you're in sales or be promoted more quickly if you're in business. And it doesn't cost you a thing.
Yeah, powerful, deep voice, absolute certainty in its place. Calm and relaxed. I'm usually speaking faster, right? He's speaking slowly, deeper, but he has the absolute certainty mentality. All right, let's move on now to somebody that I value a lot. And I think somehow by listening to him for many years now, I picked up some of his tonalities. And even though he doesn't, as far as I know about tonalities the way that you know already about it, he's just naturally good at this one. And he's a great pitch guy. And he knows that this one is crucial. And so most of the time when he speaks like that.
They're in control. So now they have a problem and they're in control, right? I know what their problems are, okay? And while I'm in control, I try and deal with them. So people go, meh, that's a good point. So that's the, kill monsters while they're small monsters. That's the principle. Okay. And these are your issues as well, Craig. We're choosing what to let people see and what to not let them see. That is not controlling, it's frame control, right? So you're building a house and you say, hey, we got to put in some windows. And then you say, well, what's the most desirable thing to see? That way is the freeway, and this way is a beautiful, let's put our kitchen here overlooking the lake and the field and not the freeway. That's frame control. You're choosing the frame to let people see. Right? Because you can't build the whole house of glass unless you're Prince or Brad Pitt or Warren Buffett, and none of those guys do it anyway. Nobody wants to see everything. It's too overwhelming.
Oren Klaff, just great at this tonality. Now we make a hard stop here for a minute or two, and I give you an opportunity to speak the way they speak. That's right, you don't have to do anything else. Then go back to this video right now and practice one of those two, right? The one that feels more natural to you, the one that you feel more connecting with. And you say just exactly the same words as them. You do that twice, and then you continue with the video here. You come back right here, and I give you the final, the grandmaster of tonalities and how he does this tonality.
No, I mean, listen, here's what I do. I'm a believer in what you weigh all your options, right? Mm-hmm. I totally get that, like, there's a certain culture that made you guys what you are, right? Mm-hmm. And one of the great risks about China is it's a very different culture. Mm-hmm. Okay, so there's two issues that you face when you go to China. Number one, okay, you have to say, well, is my culture going to play well in that country? Because some things that just work here don't work well in China, right? Mm-hmm. And the other thing is, yes, my culture in fact will work well in China, but there's some sort of like disconnect sometimes between the way you think you're saying it to them and the way they're perceiving it. So it's important, whatever you do, what I would recommend, whether you want to control every last ounce of the supply chain, you need to have local Chinese people there who know the market, who know the people, who know the kind of the social demeanor there to make sure that the message that has been so successful here in Australia gets out in China. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it does. I mean, what do you think would be some of the cultural barriers for a business like mine moving into China?
I think that number one, it used to be like that China had this whole big, like, the sage white man, we want to know what the white man is doing. That was a big thing that when they felt like they were behind. Now there's been like almost a tip where they feel like they're the emerging dominant power and almost like they are the wise ones and they know it all. So yet they in truth know, of course, they don't know everything, right? So there's a sort of cultural gap of you being able to educate them, but at the same time making them think it's their own idea. Like it's like giving them the facts so they come to the conclusion you wanted them to come to in the first place. And it doesn't happen so much, it doesn't do much with like production, but with marketing. Yeah. Okay, and as you guys know, you're not just producers, you're marketers. Okay, so you need to have kind of both elements of that equation wrapped up. Now, again, like obviously, I'm a banker. I'm not in the organic food business, but one thing I do know is there are certain core distinctions that run through every industry, whether it's your industry, whether it's computers, whether you're selling automobiles. Okay, so what we try to do, again, we have a client like you. We don't look at things, hey, they're organics. That's a separate. It's some things that are global. Like for instance, Mary Donovan, who right? Yeah.
And that was, of course, who? You know it, right? Now, this one here, I mean, this is a live selling situation where he's using it and he's just so good at it. And so I give you another opportunity here to speak the same way as him. Don't worry if it's not exactly the way you would say it, right? Just try it out, right? Try it, do that. And we step it up here 3 times. We did it 2 times before. Now you do it 3 times because once you do this and you pronounce the vocals the way he does, right? And you have this certainty, your own version of absolute certainty will emerge. Trust me, if it hasn't already emerged, keep going through this video every now and then. It will emerge. And remember, this is the one tonality to get right. So let's make it happen.